Hello everyone. Very good evening. Welcome to the session. I hope all of you are doing absolutely well. Very good evening, everyone. Before we start, can you please let me know in the chat box, am I properly audible and visible to all of you? Hi Ashish, Sneha, Deepankar, Kamlesh. Hello everybody. Very good evening. Super nice to see you all over here on time because today is the first session of the Radiant batch that is for biology and we are going to see the first chapter that's very interesting. So I hope all of you are as enthusiastic as me. Drop down your comments quickly everyone. Okay, hi, hello everyone. Very nice, very good evening, beta. Very good evening. Great. So, I hope all of you are very well. Firstly, congratulations for now being promoted to class 9. Now you are one step ahead in your academic journey and this is the beginning of a new phase in your life. A phase that builds your foundation, your concepts, and also you get to enjoy a lot with all that studies. So again, okay, great. Hi Devya, hi Pradeep, RCB, and please drop down your real names as well. Hello Atray, great Manvi. I can see most of you are over here, which is very nice. Okay, so before we start with anything else, let us again introduce each other. Firstly, I am Kirti Mehndiratta and I am going to be a biology educator for this particular batch. And you can also call me Kirti ma'am, Kittu ma'am, again Ki ma'am, Kitty ma'am. My friends call me with all these names. So you are free to use any of these names for me. Hello everyone, very nice. Now, before we start the class, since it's the first class, I would like to keep it light and inform you like what's going to be different about biology session this time. Because most of us, we think that, we have lots and lots of concepts to ratify in bio. Hai na? I hope everyone will agree. We think that there is so much to learn in bio. But that's not going to be the case now because we are going to firstly have certain different agendas for the class. My perspective about biology is that we are living being as a system. So when we study biology, we are studying ourselves. And that's what is going to be my aim, that we are going to firstly convert complex topic into simple and relatable topics. Okay, anything that you feel is very tough, we are going to make it easy for you. That's why we are here. Again, we learn through animation, visuals, as well as real life examples wherever possible. I'll also get GIFs, animations, small videos so that you can understand by visualizing certain things. When you see certain things, you are able to understand them better. And that's what we are going to do over here. We'll understand the why of a particular thing because my aim would be not just to make you understand a thing. My job would be done the moment I think that, okay, now you're curious. When you ask questions, that's what my job is to inculcate in you guys, to develop that scientific curiosity where you ask questions, the why of everything. And obviously, again, we'll keep daily life examples for your better understandings. Now, since you are my cute students, you are all very beautiful, intelligent people, I would tell you that what you can call me because I would like to call all of you as my dearest and the most intelligent because I know you are ICSE students. Obviously, you deserve to be a slightly more advanced at level in terms of your studies. Again, so you can call me again Kirti because that's what most people call me. My friends also call me Kitty. You can also call me Ki ma'am. You can also call me Kittu ma'am. So whatever you feel like, it's on you. Whatever you call with love, that's great for me. Okay, hi Adhya. Hello Tanishka. Hello everyone. Hello Agartha. Great. Beta Agartha, this particular class is actually going to be on YouTube and from next class onwards we are going to conduct it on the batch as well. So first class for every subject is going to be on YouTube and the second class onwards will be on batch. And after the class definitely you will get the recording on the batch as well. Now I have told you about my promises, what I'm going to deliver in the class. But there are certain things I want all of you guys to do. Because when we are shaking hands to begin this new journey, you also have to bring one of your hands forward. Na? So what have you guys got to do after the class and during the class? Okay. Everyone, beta, please keep in mind during the class, you have to stay focused and avoid distractions because I feel biology has subject is slightly text heavy. So I want that you don't have to worry about the subject after the class. So make sure whatever I'm teaching, you're listening to it very carefully, very in a focused manner, so that you can learn during the class. Okay, so after the class, you don't have to spend a lot of time in mugging up the concepts. And then listen actively. Like I said, please mention down the important points. Never ever depend on class notes or any of your friends' notes. Definitely, we'll provide you with the handwritten notes as well as the lecture PDFs. But the best way to understand certain things is when you learn it on your own. When you write down the important things on your own, you will realize that you are able to memorize it faster. Okay, yeah, definitely. What you want to call me, that's absolutely great, Divya. Vrishti, agreed. Again, ask doubts whenever you feel like there is any problem. You can definitely pop up your doubts in the class. You can ask after the class as well. All of you know that we have a doubt portal that's active 24/7. So even if you are studying at 12 in the night, you can definitely put that doubt up and that will be resolved as soon as possible. Hello, Janvi, Rashmi, Priyanshu, Srishti. Hello, everyone. Okay, bacha log. After the class, what you need to do, revise and solve DPPs. After every class, you are going to get DPPs. Sometimes it could be a possibility that the class could be a little lengthy in terms of the time. So please make sure that you sit down for that extra duration, even though it's mostly for the time bound manner, but sometimes it could be beyond that as well. But please make sure that you revise during the class and after the class. Please review your mistakes. Whatever you feel that you did wrong, you have to rectify your mistakes and stay consistent, because consistency is the key to secure the best marks. Okay. Again, for ICSE syllabus, beta, the syllabus of your biology is slightly extensive, so I would prefer that you start from day 1. Right from this day, I want all of you to promise me that you are going to start from today itself. So after the class, you have to revise whatever has been done in the session. And trust me, it's a very well experienced thing by myself that whenever something was taught in the class, if I go back home and memorize it that very day, it took me very less time to revise, because all the concepts were very fresh in my mind. So I had to devote less time. On the other hand, like I hated physics. No offense to physics as a subject, but I didn't like physics. So I would not study physics every day. So whatever was taught today, I used to study 2 days later. And in that case, I used to forget most of the things that used to happen in the class. Please don't do these things. Whenever something is being taught, you have to revise it that very day. Okay? It's only for one day, that for today. From the next class onwards, you are going to see me on the app. Okay, everybody? Great. Acha, now coming to the books that you have to follow for your exams. Beta, see, for ICSE class 9, there is no one single publication that every school follows. There is no uniformity. Depending on your school, you could follow different books. Okay? Some school could follow Selena as the source of reference. Some could follow S-Chan. Some could follow Evergreen. Depends that the publication varies in every school. I would recommend, first of all, that whichever book your school is taking as a reference, you use that particular book for your studies, because more or less the syllabus and the content is same. There is not a lot of difference. Okay? So your school book should be the first priority. But just in case you want that, okay, no ma'am, I don't understand that well from a particular book that my school is following, then these 3 books are really good to refer to. You can follow Selena Concise Biology. You can also go for S. Chand's ICSE Biology or ICSE Biology by A.N. Mittal and Ajay Kumar. Okay? These are great books. It has very well conceptual clarity as well as questions to practice. Yes, Janvi, you can definitely ask your question. Yes, beta Janvi, these are class 9 books. Yes, I know most of the schools go for Selena Concise Biology. But if your school is using any other publication and you want to refer to any other book, you can choose either of these. Okay? Okay. So sorry. Okay. Now moving to the syllabus that the council has officially released on their website. You need to know how many chapters are there, what all do you need to study, and what's the official syllabus that's given on the website. Okay? So overall, beta, you have 19 chapters, and I know that can feel a little heavy. Ki bhai, itna sara we have to study. But don't worry, if you study it the right way, you will understand everything very beautifully. Okay? So the first unit is basic biology, where we will be covering introduction to biology, what is basic biology obviously, and then cell, the unit of life, tissues, and that is about plant and animal. In this particular session, we are going to cover about cell, the unit of life. For flowering plants, we again have 2 chapters, that is flower as well as pollination and fertilization. For unit 3, that's plant physiology, we have seed structure, germination as well as respiration in plants. Then diversity in living organisms, you can follow, there are 2 chapters, 5 kingdom as well as economic importance of bacteria and fungi. Now human anatomy and physiology mein again you have 5 chapters, nutrition, digestive system, skeleton, skin as well as respiratory system, and the final unit also has 5 chapters, but trust me these are very easy. Okay, all these are very easy chapters. There is nothing typical, everything is what you usually see in your daily life. Hygiene, diseases, aids to health, health organization and waste generation and management. ठीक है? Okay, how many chapters will come in the first internal assessment? See, overall there are 19. We can expect school to school variation, but on average 9 chapters or 8 to 9 chapters are usually asked in your first internal assessment. Now these 8 to 9 chapters beta could be different for different schools. Some schools could give you first 9 chapters for your exam. Other schools could give you any random 9 chapters, or some other schools can give you other like bottom wale 9 chapters as well. So it varies from school to school. Again, the number 9 is also not fixed. Some schools can give you 8, 7, 10 as well. Depends on your school. ठीक है? I think I've answered your question. Yes. Yes, beta, VJ Bashi, it's not actually there in the syllabus. Questions don't usually come from there, but we will have an overview. It's a very small part, just one class we'll have it in the batch, and that's not from, from an exam point of view, questions don't appear from there. So mostly we begin from cell, okay? Okay. No, Janvi, that's more or less the same, so there is nothing to worry about. Okay? Again, like I said, you can use any book for reference, Agratha, but I would say Selena is the best one for all the students because it has concepts in very easy language. No other book, I mean, you can definitely refer to other books as well, but Selena is like, once you read it, you understand things very easily from that. Okay? If you don't have books, please take up some time and then try to purchase them. Maybe towards the end of this week, you can go and purchase your books, okay? Okay, no worries about the books as well. We are going to read everything in the class. So whichever publication are you going to follow, we'll first study in the class and then you can read from whichever publication you want to. So concepts will be really easy for you guys. No, not at all, Kamlesh. It's going to be very easy. Okay. Great for whoever is following Selena, but trust me, beta, whichever book your school is following, don't think, okay, my school has a difficult book, the other school has some easy book. No, if you understand things in very simple language, all the books have more or less the same content. Will the definition of cell change? Will the purpose of human heart, function of human heart change? No, it's more or less the same. So you need not worry about that. Definitely, okay? Not full, definitely we are going to have an intro about the chapter. Chaliye. Now let's begin with the chapter that's cell, the unit of life, and we are going to see certain topics. Firstly, we will have an introduction to cell, discovery of cell, classification of cell, as well as question practice. Now this is very important because this will tell me how many of you students were actively listening in the class because I am going to ask you questions. Great. Okay. Yes, okay, so we are going to start up with cell, the unit of life. Everyone be attentive, let's listen and let's start. Okay, please keep your notebooks and pens as well with you. Okay, chalo. I think everybody knows the difference between living and non-living things. We see so many things around us. Certain things could be living, certain things could be non-living, right? For example, if I am in the class right now, I can see a camera, a television, a computer, certain other things around me that are non-living. They are non-living, beta, right? So we know that there are certain things that are non-living, that are not able to respire, digest, transport, or eliminate out waste materials. They're not able to grow and develop. But there are certain other things that are called as living. When we talk about something as living, that means it has life. It can see, it is conscious of the environment. If I come and shout in your ear, you will automatically hear that loud voice and move away. If I shout in front of a chair, will the chair move away? I hope everybody will say no. Because non-living things are not conscious of their environment. Living organisms, they are conscious of the environment. They are able to breathe, they are able to see, sense the environment, respond to it, grow and develop. So, but the living things are whatever we see around us in terms of plants, animals, bacteria, right? So, over here we have a list of living as well as non-living things. Non-living things, we have stone, water, chair, books, pencil, keys, water bottle, car, as well as a football. But if I talk about beta living things. Living things may we have different things. Obviously, certain of these things, for example, tree, dog, bird, plant, butterfly, fish, mushroom, humans, we are able to see all of these things. है ना? We are able to visualize all of these things. But what about a living thing as small as bacteria? Are you able to see the bacteria, beta? Are you able to see a bacteria? In fact, just let me tell you, over here in my surrounding, there could be thousands of bacteria. On my skin could be several bacteria. In my body are several bacteria. In your body are several good bacteria. But obviously, there are bad bacteria as well. There are bacteria that we can't see because beta bacteria are very small. But if it is small, should we call it as non-living? No, not because only you can see something, it should be called living. There are certain things that you can't see and they are also considered as living, right? So bacteria is also a living thing. And now let me tell you, every living thing is made up of a cell. Every living thing is made up of a cell. Like you see buildings around you. In the building, the smallest unit is a brick. You put a brick, you put one brick over the other, you develop a pile and you build a wall. एक दीवार बनी and when multiple walls come together, a room is formed. When one room is formed, there are multiple rooms adjacent to it, it forms a home, it forms a house. And when multiple houses are there, it forms an apartment, it forms a society. So smallest unit of that building would be brick. है ना? Right or not? Everyone thumbs up for this, right? So I can say beta that in case of buildings, the smallest unit is brick. In case of living organisms, the smallest unit is called as cell. So in case of living organisms, the smallest unit is beta cell. That means wherever you see life, it is made up of cell. Whether it is a multicellular organism or whether it is an organism visible to our eye, like plants, animals, they are made of cells. Even a single celled organism like bacteria that you can't see is also made up of cells. Insect, beta, definitely they are also living. They are also living. Beta Balani, there are cells which are big that you can see definitely with your naked eyes as well. Right. Okay. Right. है ना? Everybody will agree. So the living system is actually made up of cell. ठीक है? Cell is the smallest unit of life and in most cases you can't see a cell with your naked eyes. Now if I talk something about cell beta, a cell is the smallest structural and functional unit of life. It is the smallest. Why are we calling cell to be the smallest? Because it is the basic unit. There is nothing smaller than cell that makes life. Wherever there is life, there is a cell. So the smallest unit जिसको जोड़ के an entire system is made, it is called as cell. A cell is the structural and functional unit of life. Very, very important. What do we mean by structural and functional unit of life? But when we talk about something like structural, that means it is building the structure, it is building the body, it is giving shape to a particular life or living organism. So when we say it is a structural unit, it is forming the shape of an organism. है ना everyone? Is this clear? So definitely we can say that a cell is structural because it is giving shape as well as structure to the body. And why are we calling this functional unit beta? Because every cell beta, it is able to perform all of its function. Whether it is taking inside the food, okay, or whether it is removing all the toxic materials out of the cell, it is also done by cell, or whether it is simply taking in oxygen or releasing carbon dioxide, or taking in carbon dioxide or releasing oxygen, or growing and dividing, everything the cell is able to do on its own. That is why we call that cell is the functional unit of life. A cell can do all of its function. It is a very independent person. Independent person, I mean, it's an example that it is a very independent identity because it can perform all of its functions, right? So, when we say functional unit, because it is able to perform all of the essential life processes, okay? So, can we say a cell is independent in terms of the nature? Can we say it is independent and can carry out all the necessary functions for survival? Is this clear to everyone? But atoms are the smallest unit of any chemical molecule that we study in chemistry. Again, when we talk about cell, a cell also has many small elements that are made up of atoms. Okay? Okay. Yes, great. Definitely, beta, microorganisms are living, Rashmi. When we say there are certain bacteria is also living organism. There are certain parasites, protozoa, fungi, they are all living. We are going to see it in the next slide. Okay, cricket shots, very nice. Okay, I hope this is clear to everyone. Why do we call cells as the basic structural and functional unit of life? And they are able to survive, or they are able to perform all of these independent activities. Yes, cells are definitely living. Most of these cells are living. Certain cells are beta dead cells also. We are going to see that in the coming slide. Okay? So this is the basic structure, the definition of cell. Now, beta cells in most cases, they are not able to be visualized with naked eyes. For example, our body is made up of cells. Our body is actually made of trillions of cells. There are trillions of cells that we can't even count. And even our skin, the skin of our hands also has certain cells. But can we see any single cell? No, we are not able to see cells. Out of any trillion cell, is even a single cell visible to all of you? No. So most of these cells, beta, they can't be seen with naked eyes. Even there are so many bacteria which are living, that are present around us, but we can't see them. Right? So in order to visualize the cells, we need an instrument that is called as microscope. It is called as microscope. I am sure you must have seen this somewhere or the other in your biology lab in the school. Have you seen this instrument called as microscope? Microscope में micro terms signifies that it is used to visualize things that are very, very micro in nature, very small in nature. So to visualize beta, we have to use a microscope as an instrument, right? So cells are microscopic, that means they are so small they cannot be seen with the naked eye and they require a microscope to be observed. So this is the kind of microscope that you generally see in your laboratories, in your schools, in scientific institutions, but there are certain microscopes that were back in the day, in the ancient times, that were present, that were not as developed as this. So when we study about cell and microscope today, beta, the same cell and microscope was not available back in the day. Imagine many years ago when cell was actually discovered, there was no such technology. So scientists had very basic microscope to see the cell. In fact, today we are studying cell. But how do we know cell? Because many scientists did their research and found that, okay, life is made up of cells, right? Okay. Beta, it's visible, Satarupa? Yes, it's visible. Okay. Yes, Atarai, we are definitely going to come to that topic as well. This is particularly on YouTube. The next class will be on app. Okay. Janvi, I'm trying to speak in very basic English, so I hope everyone will understand. Okay. चलिए, now let's go back in the history. थोड़ा सा पीछे चलते हैं. Let us see how did the scientist develop or discover about cell. ठीक है? So the first scientist beta who discovered the cell was Robert Hooke. Okay? Great kids bonding, very nice. Yes, so the first scientist who discovered the cell was Robert Hooke. He was this person, the very first person to know something about cells was Robert Hooke. Now you might think, ma'am, was crazy about discovering a cell. But back in the day, a lot of people didn't believe in science. They didn't believe in research. They were not able to accept that life is coming from cell. They were very religious, so they only thought that God is creating life and somehow it is appearing on earth. Until many scientists like Robert Hooke and other scientists came up and told that no, life is not magically coming on earth from somewhere. It is because there is a small unit that is called as cell. And when he was doing his research, when he was discovering many things, he published all of his results in the book called Micrographia. So when people studied his book, when other scientists studied his book, they knew that, okay, Micrographia has the information about cells. And when Robert Hooke was studying beta, at that time, he saw this particular structure from the cork slice. You know what is a cork? What is a cork? Beta, see, you know the bark of a tree, जिसे हम बोलते हैं छाल या तना, है ना? The bark, the woody part of that tree. He took a slice of that bark. And when he took a slice of that bark, he observed cork cells. Okay? So he observed cork cells. And when he observed beta, he found that this structure, it's actually a honeycomb-like structure. Honeycomb-like structure means that it is a madhumakhi ka chhatta wala structure. So when he found out from the cork, firstly I should write that he found out from the cork cells, and it looked like beta, it almost looked like honeycomb-like structure. Okay? honeycomb like structure. As you can see, it is very much looking like a closely knit structure of honeycomb. Okay, this is the particular honeycomb like structure. It looks like as if bees have developed this structure. And in that structure, he found out that there are many small compartments. There are many small compartments like this. There are many small compartments he was able to visualize, and each compartment looked like a room. So he named beta that each compartment is actually called as, firstly it was looking like a compartment. Let's write that it was actually like a compartment. So it looked like compartment, box like compartment rather I should say, box like compartments. Okay, and in that box like compartment, there were box like compartments, and side by side he also saw that each compartment was called as cellula, which was later given the term as cell. So are you understanding from where we got the term cell? Robert Hooke discovered the cell, but that term cell was also given by Robert Hooke. So he had a major contribution in the discovery of cell. He published all of these results in the book called Micrographia, where he told that, okay, when he observed the cork slice, what is the cork slice? From the bark of a tree. He examined all of these things. He found out there are many box-like compartments. Each box was called cellula, and each cellula was later given the term cell. But one thing I would like to tell you, beta, is that these cork cells are actually dead cells. These are actually dead cells. They are not living in nature. When we talk about cells, there are living and dead cells. Living cells are the ones that are actively growing and dividing, and they have metabolic reactions going inside them. So a cell, beta, is like a compartment. It has many chemical reactions going on inside. It's a living cell. But in case of dead cell, the reactions are not taking place. The cell is not growing. It is not dividing. It's a dead cell. Okay? So all the cork cells basically were dead cells. So the question can be asked in many different formats. The question could be asked that Robert Hooke discovered the cells for the first time? Definitely yes. Who gave the term cells? Robert Hooke. Who discovered the cells? First time cells? Robert Hooke. Who discovered dead cells? Robert Hooke. Okay, everybody? Is it clear? Yes. Yes. Definitely dead cells are present. Yes. Okay, very good everyone. Is it clear everyone? Is it clear this particular point? Now let's try to read the same thing with the help of a text. So Robert Hooke actually was the first scientist to discover cells in 1665. Okay? Once he discovered cells, he also named the term cells because he first called them cellula and then he later called them as cells. Okay? The cells he observed were dead cells, showing that they only had cell walls. There was no metabolic reaction that was taking place over there. Okay? He observed a thin slice of cork. What is cork, beta? Cork cell actually they come from the bark. They come from bark. You can write this as bark of trees. Okay? Okay guys, we should also mention these small pointers because they can be useful when you revise things. And saw tiny box-like compartments which he named cellula, and cellula is also called as cells. Okay, he used a compound microscope made of two lenses which provided higher magnification. Okay, now what does this point mean? I'm going to tell this to you right now, beta. Okay, this point we are going to discover in the next slide. Okay, no beta, actually once you cut, aisa nahi, tab it is dead. These cells are inherently dead. Whenever they are present on the trees, also they are dead. We are going to cover this in the plant physiology portion. There are certain cells in plants that are dead by nature, but their function is to support the plant. In fact, even if they are dead. So when he cut down that particular portion, those were dead cells. Okay? It was not that because he cut and that is why they die because of injury or something. No. Okay, everyone, that's clear now? Okay, now what about this compound microscope portion, beta? See, like we just discussed that this is the microscope that we see today in your laboratories. It is very highly advanced, but this kind of microscope wasn't available back in the day. Okay? So obviously Robert Hooke and other scientists who did their discoveries, they didn't have such high resolution microscopes that we have today. Okay, so microscopes na beta, they are firstly of two types. I will just explain you a basic things, something that you need to understand just for this particular slide, that microscope are of many types. They are firstly simple microscopes and they are compound microscope beta. There are simple microscope and compound microscope. Simple microscope mein there is only one lens, only one lens. I hope what you know what is a lens. For example, if you have seen that magnifying glass, that also has one lens. So if you visualize this, things appear bigger. If I have a sheet of paper and I try to write something and I visualize it with the help of magnifying glass, it appears very large. So that is one lens. So a simple microscope mein there is only one lens. But in a compound microscope, it is very advanced and it has two lens beta. It has two lens. That is why it is called as compound microscope. Okay. So now when we talk about Robert Hooke ka microscope beta, he used a compound microscope. Now what is a compound microscope? Everyone will agree that a compound microscope is the one that has two lens that can provide higher magnification. So the object that you are trying to visualize looks very big, very enlarged. Clear to everyone? Right. Yes, it had one biconcave lens. Very nice everyone. Great. Okay, this was the particular set of microscope that he used. I'll just show you that there are two lenses over here. Okay. One is this objective lens. I hope you can see. Okay. This is objective lens because this is close to the object. You are going to place your object or the specimen over here. This is the objective lens. It is the first lens, and then you have the eyepiece lens where you're going to put your eye and visualize things from here. So you're going to put your eye and you're going to see things from here. There are two lens basically. Okay? Yes, and that is why the image appears very big. Okay? Electron microscope, we are going to cover it also in the coming slide, although the book doesn't give detailed information, but yes, as per the latest advancement, latest technology, electron microscopes are also used. Okay, everyone? Now, after that, there was another scientist. He was called as Antony von Leeuwenhoek, and Antony von Leeuwenhoek was other scientist who discovered living cells for the first time. Because Robert Hooke he discovered dead cells, and Antony von Leeuwenhoek discovered living cells for the first time. So he was the scientist beta, and this was the microscope that he used. Can everyone tell me his microscope, is it simpler than the microscope used by Robert Hooke, or it is very complex or advanced? By looking at it, can you guys tell me? Is it simple or advanced? Just by looking at it, can you give me an idea? Obviously, okay? And beta, this microscope particularly that he developed, it had a lens over here. This particular part in the microscope, it was called as lens, and this part was called as the screw. It was called as the screw. Okay? So how did you use to visualize the object? It's simpler. Definitely, it's very simple because there is nothing that's going on as complex. Okay? Acha, there is only one lens. So what are we going to call this kind of microscope? It is a simple microscope, definitely, because it has only one lens. Right, everyone? Yes, Agratha, Satrupa, Riddhi, Ajita, Balani, very nice, Krusty. Great everyone. Okay? And this microscope, definitely it is simple because it has only one lens. And here is the screw portion. Now, whatever object you have to visualize now, there is your eye portion. You have to look from this particular region. Okay? You place your eye over here and you see through the lens, and here is your object placed. And this object beta, it is held over here with the help of screw. So you hold this object over here like you can see in the image. So he is trying to visualize something with the microscope. Over here is his eye, here is the lens, and that particular thing can be magnified. So he is going to see a magnified image. Okay? So Anton von Leeuwenhoek beta, what he did, he developed many such microscopes. This was the kind of microscope, and he developed approximately 400 microscopes like this. Okay, alag-alag magnification ki power ke he developed 400 microscopes because he was so interested in science. He wanted to see that, how can the image be very magnified. Okay. Hi Janvi, beta, this is not cut as of now in the book. Most of this is asked in the exams. Even if it is not, it's not a very difficult thing. Just for one topic, you can listen to this because sometimes question can be asked. Okay? Acha, one more thing now. He observed living things. And how did he observe living cells, beta? He analyzed the pond water. ठीक है. He saw pond water, he collected a sample and that sample he analyzed with the help of his microscope and he found that the cells were moving. So definitely the movement is the property of a living object. So he considered that the cells are actually living in nature. He found certain bacteria, certain protozoa that were living in nature. And not only water, he was so curious that he took out samples from the teeth also. You know, from your dental plaque in your teeth, he took out the samples, he conducted experiments on them. He also found microorganisms over there. He conducted his experiments on pond water, lake water, fresh water, everywhere he did, and he found that, okay, there are organisms that are living. So he was the first one, he found that the cells are actually living in nature. Okay, this is one question that can be asked in the exam. So you should know that he was the first scientist to observe living cells. He observed tiny living microorganisms like protozoa and bacteria, and he called them as animalcules because he was moving. The organisms were moving. So he thought, okay, movement is the property of animals. So he named that as animalcules. And he used a simple microscope, beta. Simple microscope, now you know it is made up of only single lens. And the single lens that he used was biconvex lens. Okay? Now the biconvex lens, beta, somewhat looks like this. It is like this in nature. Okay? This is a biconvex lens, even though the question won't come in your exam. And with the magnification of up to, we can say 200 times. The magnification was about 200 times. Yes, definitely. Great, everyone. Yes, beta, who found the cell for the first time? You have to answer that, Robert Hooke. But if the question comes, if the cell was living or dead, then the answer will change because living cells were actually found out by Antony von Leeuwenhoek. Yes, ठीक है everybody. Now this was basically the contribution of Antony von Leeuwenhoek for the discovery of the living cells. But today, beta, what's happening is the science has advanced so much. We need to visualize cells very, very perfectly. You all know cells have organelles. Even if you don't know, we are going to study it in the coming slide. That cell, beta, is like a school. Like a school has many teachers, many students, many leaders. Likewise, a cell also has many components and each component performs its own function. We are going to cover that in the coming lectures as well. So to study all of these, beta, the development in the microscopes also took place. And there was this one microscope that we also see in our laboratories today. It is called as compound microscope. So a compound microscope looks like this and it is pretty much available in your schools. You are definitely going to see it in your experiments. Okay? This is the base, beta. This is the mirror. Over here is the mirror portion. And this is the stage. Okay? This is the stage. Why is it called the stage? Because over here we place our sample what we need to see. For example, if I placed a bacteria sample over here, then these are the lenses. This is your lens. Okay? This is again the objective lens and this is the eyepiece lens. I'm not going to write the lens because it can confuse you. Okay? Chalo, let's label. Let's label it only. Let's not discuss much about it. This is your objective lens. Why is it called the objective lens? Because it is closer to the object and it is going to collect all the information and give it to the eyepiece. And from here you visualize the magnified image. You keep your eye over it and you visualize this. Okay? This portion is called as the arm of the microscope. This is the basic structure of your compound microscope. Okay? So further improved over time and could magnify up to 2000 times. See, the Anton von Leeuwenhoek, beta, the microscope was for about 200 times, but over here it is about 2000 times. Acha, one question can you tell me? That's okay, the source of energy is light over here to visualize the particular object. Can you tell me one thing? The compound microscope that is present over here, does this look like a microscope inspired by Robert Hooke or Leeuwenhoek? This compound microscope, beta, is it inspired from Robert Hooke or Leeuwenhoek? किसके ज़्यादा close था? किसके microscope के ज़्यादा close था? Okay, everyone, tell me. Okay, everybody. Yes. Great, yes, this is very close to the microscope that was made by Robert Hooke, because microscope that was with Robert Hooke, beta, it was also a compound microscope, है ना? It was also a compound microscope. It also had two lenses, and over here also you have two lenses, ऑब्जेक्टिव लेंस एंड आईपीस लेंस. बट डेफिनेटली ये रॉबर्ट हुक के माइक्रोस्कोप से ज्यादा एडवांस्ड है. इट इज इवन मोर एडवांस्ड, मोर टेक्नोलॉजिकली एडवांस्ड. इट हैज हायर मैग्निफिकेशन देन दैट वाज यूज्ड बाय रॉबर्ट हुक. ठीक है. नाउ नॉट ओनली दिस, साइंटिस्ट हैव मेड great discoveries, and today we also have another kind of microscopes that are called as electron microscope. बेटा they are very complex. अब ये आपके schools में कम मिलेंगे, है ना? Electron microscope are usually not present in the schools. It's present in laboratories, colleges, universities, or research laboratories. You will mostly find them in very high-end universities. ठीक है. And these are obviously very expensive. They require a complete room. ठीक है. जैसे you can see electron microscope, it's not a tiny microscope which you can keep on a desk. This much is the apparatus for the electron microscope, and you also don't see the image by putting your eye. ठीक है. The data or the magnified image comes on a computerized screen. So over here you get the pictures, you can download the picture. So see, over here is a picture of the cells that was generated by electron microscope, and you can clearly see, beta, the image is so detailed. You can see that the cell has complete boundaries, the cell has certain spikes, cell has granules over it, the shapes can be differentiated. This much clarity was not given by compound microscope. So electron microscopes have even higher resolution. They are very peculiar and particular with the resolution. They give you very great details, and the magnification level is up to 2 lakhs. The detailed cell structures, and it's about 2 lakh times. So the cell doesn't look as clear as this in case of compound microscope. Right. Okay, yes. No, there is nothing like AI over here. Okay. Yes, Rashmi, there definitely is, beta, but I am not the right person to answer this because I am not very well versed with physics. Okay. Yes, highly magnified. Because beta, reason is na, cell ke andar there are many structures that you can't see with the help of a compound microscope. For example, if you want to see the mitochondria inside the cell, nucleus inside the cell, chromosome inside the cell, so you need an electron microscope. And I hope everyone can tell that electron microscope mein electron is the main source that gives the image. So instead of light over here, we use electron beams to give the image. Electron beams instead of light to give the image. ठीक है? Very nice. चलिए. Okay. Now let's solve certain questions. Okay, everybody, let's start solving some questions. Okay. Okay, what did Robert Hooke observe in cork? Living cells, nucleus, dead cells, or chloroplast? Shilpi, beta, which point do I need to explain? Okay, it's the size of the cell is mostly micrometers. Certain cells could be in meters. Certain cells could also be very big in size, beta. So there is no particular size of a cell. It's in the range. Certain cells are very small. You can't even see them. Certain can be seen with the help of naked eyes. We are going to see over here as well. Now, quickly answer this particular question. Okay. 100% have answered this correct. Very nice, beta. Very nice. We can see over here Satarupa, Siddharth, Datost. Very nice. Very good, everyone. And there are so many students who have answered. Great, everybody. So definitely, Robert Hooke observed in cork. Living cells, no, beta. Robert Hooke didn't discover living cells. He didn't talk about nucleus. He only found dead cells because the cork cells are dead in nature. Why are you saying A, beta? Living cells were discovered by Antony von Leeuwenhoek. Great. Next question that we have is, which scientist observed living cells? I think I just now told the answer, but I would still like all of you to answer the poll that which scientist discovered living cells for the first time. Whenever the question comes, be very careful who discovered the cells for the first time, who discovered dead cells for the first time, who discovered living cells for the first time. Okay, everybody? Now let's see how many of you are able to answer this correctly. Beta, you just have to type in the chat, and that can be connected in the poll. ठीक है, वो अपने आप poll mate will be counted. Right. Most of you are undisputedly choosing the option C. Let's see the answers again. 93% are correct, but some are also saying Robert Hooke, beta. Robert Hooke discovered dead cells. Please be careful of this. Acha, even if you are not able to remember who discovered living cells and who discovered dead cells, I will give you a simple trick. ठीक है? L for living. L for living and L for Leeuwenhoek. ठीक है, अभी it is clear to everyone. This is how you're going to remember. L for living, L for Leeuwenhoek. Clear to everyone? Right. Now everybody can remember easily. चलिए, let's move on to the next topic that is called as cell theory, beta. Now, what is cell theory? How do we have to know what is cell theory and why is it important? See, today we know all this information because all these scientists conducted this research back in the day very, very beautifully. But when we talk about cell theory, it is simply given by scientists to establish facts about cells. So beta, cell theory actually was given by 3 different scientists, and to understand that, let's first understand the scientist names, what were their contributions individually, and then we will together write the points of cell theory. ठीक है, ओके सतारूपा, वेरी नाइस, अटारी, वेरी नाइस. ठीक है, आई होप एवरीबडी कैन रिमेंबर थ्रू दिस. चलिए, now cell theory में ना बेटा, the first scientist was Matthias Schleden. ठीक है, he was the scientist Matthias Schleden and he was actually a botanist. ठीक है, he was actually a botanist. Now who is a botanist बेटा? A botanist is a person or a scientist who studies plants. ठीक है, somebody who studies plants is called a botanist. And in 1838 he gave a statement that he said all the plants are made up of cells. He said simply that all the plants present around us, whether it is a small bush or a plant as big as mango tree or banyan tree, all of them are made up of cells. Okay. Then there was another scientist who was called Theodor Schwann, and Theodor Schwann in 1839 he made a conclusion that all animals are made of cells. ठीक है, in 1839 he made a statement beta that all the animals, again whether the animal is a simple animal or a complex animal like humans, all of them are made up of cells. By the way, he was a zoologist. He was a zoologist, and who is a zoologist? A person or a scientist who studies about animals. It's very clear from the name that zoo में होते हैं animals, so the person studies about animals. So botanist was basically Matthias Schleden and Theodor Schwann was a zoologist, and both of them gave statements that all the plants are made of cell, all the animals are made up of cells only. ठीक है. Now what was happening was they gave their individual statements about plants and animals. But a little later, there was another person, another scientist who is called Rudolf Virchow. But Rudolf Virchow, na, in the year 1858, let's correct this, in the year 1858, he gave a statement that all the cells arise from pre-existing cells, that every cell comes from its parent cell. No cell is present on earth by magic. Every cell is coming from a parent cell. So a parent cell will divide and give birth to new cells. Where are we coming from? We are coming from our parents. Our parents are coming from their parents. Their parents are coming from their parents. So it's a chain, है ना? So every parent bit, every cell comes from a parent cell. It's from a pre-existing cell. No cell is actually coming magically on earth. ठीक है? Let's try to understand this. That there is one cell. This cell is coming from parent cell. This is also coming from parent cell. This cell is also coming from parent cell. So every cell is coming from a cell that's already existing in nature. This was existing and then it gave birth to this. Okay? This was existing, so it gave birth to this. So where did this come from? The parent cell. Okay? That's how we establish that the statement is actually correct, that every cell came from a parent cell. Now how did the first cell come? We will understand this in the chapter of evolution. Right? Okay. And again, the cell that we see today, that eukaryotic complex cell, it was not by luck. There were multiple theories that we see. We are going to cover it in that chapter. Okay. Chaliye, so this is the whole story. Acha, again, see, how do you remember that who was a botanist, who was the zoologist? See, Matthias. Matthias is, don't you think it's actually resembling methi? Methi, the fenugreek that you eat, hai na? So methi is actually a plant. So please remember that Matthias Schleden was a botanist because he gave the law about plants. Okay, everyone? Right. But a soil actually is non-living, na Rashmi. So it doesn't have cell. But soil में there are bacteria that are living. एक मुट्ठी भर soil में there will be many bacteria. Those bacteria are living. ठीक है? Okay. Cell theory beta simply means cell के particular statements. A theory means an established fact. So cell theory mein there are facts about cells. Okay everyone. So overall we have 3 statements or 3 postulates about cell theory and they are factual. ऐसा नहीं है कहीं पे change होगा. If you are in India, the statements will be applied. If you are in America, Singapore, anywhere else in the world, these statements will be applicable. ठीक है? Okay, so the cell is the basic structural and functional unit of life. You have to remember these points as it is. If they are coming in exam, you have to write this. A cell is the basic structural and functional unit of life. What does the structural unit means? Anything that provides structure or shape, and functional means it is able to perform the functions. Okay, all living organisms are made up of cells because beta, the scientist Theodor Schleiden said actually that all the plants are made of cells and Swan said that all the animals are made of cells. So beta, plants and animals तो living ही होते हैं. That means we can say that all the living organisms are made of cells. Instead of writing two individual points, can we say all the living organisms are made of cells? This is your second point, that all living organisms, they are actually made up of cells. They are actually made up of cells. Now the statement that was being added by Rudolf Virchow, they told that all the cells arise from pre-existing cells, that every cell is coming from a parent cell. And actually ना उन्होंने ये statement Latin में दिया था, Latin language में, that is omnis cellula a cellula. That is omnis cellula a cellula. It simply means that every cell arise from a pre-existing cell. हर cell का कोई parent cell है. Okay, साक्षी, ठीक है. Okay. Great. चलिए everyone, I hope this is clear to everybody. Great. Why are people missing Leeuwenhoek? Leeuwenhoek हो रहा है. चलो. Now let's see one example and then we will try to solve some questions. ठीक है? Let's see one particular example and let's try to solve this question because हमने cell theory पढ़ लिया. Now we want to prove it. We want to prove this with the help of an example कि सारे points cell theory के सच हैं या नहीं. So cell theory में ना बेटा, let's try to take an example of a mango tree and a frog. ठीक है? Over here is a big bushy mango tree and we have a frog. ठीक है? Now let's prove that the structural unit of life is cell. Let's prove that the structural unit of life is cell. So if I pick up any particular part of the tree or any particular part of frog and I observe this under microscope, I will find that the smallest unit is cell. So whether I pick the part from plant or animal, the smallest unit has to be cell. So cell is the basic structural unit of all living organisms. It doesn't matter if it is a plant or animal, it will be made up of cells. ठीक है? Now second we have functional unit. What is the meaning of functional unit? कि a cell is the smallest entity that is able to perform all of its functions. जैसे कि if I talk about plants, तो plants के cell में बेटा, the leaves are able to photosynthesize. They're able to make their own food. The roots of the trees are able to absorb water. That means the root के cells are also doing some functions. There will be cells basically in the plant that are going to transport the food and water. There will be cells that will release the waste product out of the plant. So all the cells in the plants are doing their respective functions. Likewise, in case of frog beta, there will be multiple cells. When the frog jumps or when the frog moves, the cells contract and relax. So cells are also performing their function. There will be some cells in the frog that when the frog eats an insect, these cells will digest that insect. They will digest the food. Or there will be certain cells beta that will release the waste product out of the cell. Correct? This is how it is happening in case of both plants and animals. So all life processes are taken out by the help of cell in plants. And all the activities happening in the frog are done by cells once again. Now next point that we have is cells die and new cells are replaced. So beta, take your body as an example. We are made up of so many cells. But all these cells are not always living. Some of these cells grow old, they die, and new cells are being replaced. New cells will divide, they will form new cells that are going to develop the body. So old cells die and new cells replace them. Okay? So cells have a finite life cycle. They die and they are replaced by new cells. And where do the new cells come from? They come from pre-existing cells. Every cell come from pre-existing cells. Yes, Shilpi beta. Which point do I need to repeat? Please let me know. Okay. Finally, we have most life starts as single cell. Most life starts as single cell. What do we mean? That life beta, it is the smallest, cell is the smallest unit of life. Now this will divide and form a whole organism. Even we as humans, we started with a single cell. In the mother's womb, we were a single cell. That cell grew, divided, we had body organs, we had internal organs, we had limbs, and now we are a full grown person. Likewise, this bushy plant that you see over here, beta, it also started its life at a single cell, and that cell divided, and after division, beta, it has formed such a huge vast tree. Okay, beta, functional unit क्या होता है? Anything that is able to function on its own. तो plant में there are many functions like खाना बनाना, waste products elimination, right? A loss of water, everything is being done with the help of cells. Frog में, if the frog is able to move, digest the food, absorb the food, remove the waste, everything is being done with the help of cells. Yes, but a cell is the unit of life because cell is the smallest thing that is able to perform the function. इससे छोटा और कुछ नहीं है जो living हो, जो खुद का काम खुद कर सके, right? Okay, great. Okay, nice everyone. Now let's move on to certain questions. Let's see how many of you are able to solve these questions because so many of you are asking ma'am polls. So here is the poll. Let's see. Yes, Amreen, nerve is also a cell. We are going to see it right now. The question says which is not a part of cell theory. Not a part, beta. Read the question carefully. Which is not a part of cell theory. Okay. Okay, great. Okay, time's up. ठीक है. चलिए, let's see how many of you have answered this correctly. 100% have answered this correctly. Very nice. Let's see the leaderboard. And in the leaderboard, we have Harman, Kamlesh, Ashok. Very nice, everyone. Very nice. See, which of the following is not a part of cell theory? All organisms are made of cells. This was the first point. This is correct. All cells arise from pre-existing cells. Correct. This was given by Rudolf Virchow. Cells can be seen without a microscope. No, beta, you require microscope. Tabhi to we have studied so many microscopes, simple, compound, electron. So you do require a microscope to see the cells. This is not a part of cell theory. Cell is the basic unit of life. Again, it's a part of your cell theory. Okay? Yes, C is the correct answer. C is the correct answer. Great, everyone. Chaliye, next question pe let's move on. Let's start. Okay. If cell theory is true, which of the following must be correct? Every organism has at least one cell. Cells are always round. Cells cannot divide. Only plants have cell. Chaliye, very nice question. Beta, Shanvi, you simply have to type the answer in the chat box. वो पोल में अपने आप आ जाता है. You don't have to go anywhere else. अच्छा, मैं साइड हो जाती हूँ. Simply you have to answer over here. Right. चलिए. Okay, time's up. Let's see. Great. Mixed answers in the chat box. यहाँ पे देखते हैं. Only 38% have answered this correctly. Oh ho. Why so, beta? If cell theory is true, अगर cell theory सच है तो कौन सा point सही होना चाहिए? Every living organism has at least one cell. Absolutely true. Wherever there is life, there is a cell. ऐसा कोई जीवित organism नहीं जिसके पास cell नहीं होता. चाहे वो एक सिंगल सेल का बैक्टीरिया हो, it will always have a cell. So wherever there is life, there is cell. Beta, please make a note over here. Life is equal to cell. Wherever you are able to see life, that means there is a cell behind it. ठीक है? So first statement is definitely the correct one. So over here the correct answer is 1. Cells are always round. नहीं. Cells cannot divide. नहीं. Only plants have cell. नहीं. We have studied animals also have cell. So A is the correct answer. Very nice, everybody. Now let's move on to the other topic, classification of cells. Very beautiful, very छोटा सा topic. Let's try to read this, beta. ठीक है? When we try to classify cells, there can be many parameters for classification. For example, I can classify the students in your class on the basis of many parameters. I can choose your marks, I can choose your height, I can choose the gender, I can choose your favorite sport, I can choose your favorite food, and I can make different groups, right? So likewise, we have to classify cells. We have used certain parameters. One is classification of cell on the basis of number. We can also classify the cells on the basis of the size. Classification of cells also takes place on the basis of shape, and we can also classify on the basis of nucleus. So for today, we'll be focusing on the classification of cell on the basis of number, size as well as shape, and nucleus ka we will take it in the next class. Okay? Right, everybody. Okay, if you're able to understand, फटाफट से drop down fire emoji so that I can know कि ठीक है सबको समझ में आ रहा है. चलिए, now let's talk about the classification of cells on the basis of number. Now see beta, when we classify on the basis of number, we have three parameters. ठीक है, we have three parameters. Organisms can be single celled, made of only one cell. ठीक है, we have only one cell if the organism is made up of only one cell. ठीक है, then we have few celled, that means they are made up of only about 100 to 1000 cells. ठीक है, and then we have beta multi-celled organisms made up of many cell, more than thousands of cell, more than thousands of cell. Great everyone. Okay, I can see a lot of you. Very nice, very nice, very nice. Super happy to know that, because if you guys understand, that gives me motivation. So please keep answering. Please keep answering the right ones. Please keep asking your doubts, because that is how we learn. Very nice everybody. Great. चलिए, so the first category is beta single celled organisms. That means these organisms have only one cell. A single cell is able to perform all of its functions. ठीक है, all the cells beta are able to perform, I mean single cell is able to perform the function. ठीक है, for example we have amoeba. ठीक है, amoeba beta, it is a single cell का organism which is looking like this. There is no fixed shape of amoeba. Then we have paramecium. This looks like the shape of a slipper, जो चप्पल आप पहनते हैं उसके तरह होता है. So amoeba, paramecium, bacteria, the bacteria that causes infections in your body, the bacteria that's present in your gut, the bacteria present in curd, the bacteria in the soil, they're all single celled organisms. Again, yeast beta, yeast होती है, it's a kind of fungi. ठीक है, it's a kind of fungi. So for example ना, I'm sure you must have eaten a bread in your homes. कभी ना कभी bread खाई होगी. So the bread, if you leave it out open में, if you don't eat for some days, what's gonna happen that bread का surface will have grayish appearance. उस पे grey ऐसे patches होंगे. That's because of fungus. Yeast जो होती है, that fungus grows on it and it tries to eat that bread के nutrients. ठीक है, that's a fungus. It's also single celled. Likewise, bread making में जो fungus use है, yeast होती है. Alcohol making में fungus use होती है. Right? Okay. Then amoeba or paramecium beta, they are all single celled organism. They are again single cell, able to perform all of their functions on their own. Bacteria single cell can perform all of its function on its own. They are single cell के organisms. ठीक है, एक ही cell divide करेगा, grow करेगा, digestion, absorption, excretion, everything will be done with this particular cell. Then we have few celled beta. Few celled तो ना इधर के ना उधर के. So few celled organisms are those जो कि they are made of more than one cells, but they are made up of less than 1000 cells. ठीक है, so ये उस bracket में where they have hundreds से thousand वाला segment. ठीक है, so बेटा basically they have hundreds से thousand, you can say more than 1 से 1000 भी चलेगा यहाँ पे, but not more than that. ठीक है, so they are made of only few cells, just a few hundred or few thousand. ठीक है, तो मतलब you can write कि भाई 90 to 1000 भी हो सकता है, 10 cells, 20, 30, 40 कुछ भी हो सकता है नंबर. ठीक है, there are few cells. ठीक है, so for example we have Spirogyra and Volvox. Spirogyra को हिंदी में भी also call as sky. If you have heard of this beta, what is it? On stagnant water, जो पानी still होता है. ठीक है, sometimes you see this greenish appearance, long elongated threads. This is your Spirogyra. Volvox, both of them basically are your few celled organisms. ठीक है, okay, then we have multicellular organisms. They are made of millions and billions of cells. For example, plants and humans, plants, mango tree, fish, dog, they are all multicellular organisms. ठीक है, अब multicellular organisms में बेटा what happens is there is division of labor. Let's try to understand with the help of an example. Somebody is saying that, you know, ma'am आवाज ठीक नहीं है. Let me fix my mic once again. Okay, चलिए, I hope it is fine now. Okay, right. ठीक है बेटा, now when we talk about multicellular organisms, सबसे पहले let's take an example. There is this one person who is given everything to do on its own in the school. It's given a school project and it has to do everything on its own. ठीक है, so बेटा it will also bring the sheets, glitter pens, scissors, stickers, decoration items and will make the project on its own. It is a single person, one man army, so everything has to be done by this person. But for example, the other teacher makes a group of 20 people. And in those 20 people, she has decided that 5 people will do the decoration, 5 will do the writing part, 5 will do the research, 5 will come and explain the factor in terms of presentation. So, यहाँ पे the work is divided between the people, right? So, in case of multicellular organisms, beta, there are so many activities inside the body. So, we have to divide the task. Like for heart, we have given the instruction to pump the blood. We have given the order to our lungs to breathe and exchange gases. We have given the function of removing the waste to our kidneys. ठीक है, so every particular task is being given to every particular kind of organs, right? So in multicellular organism, beta, we see division of labor. Division of लेबर मतलब काम का बंटवारा होता है यहाँ पे, ठीक है. बट इन यूनिसेल्युलर ऑर्गेनिजम्स वी डोंट हैव डिविजन ऑफ लेबर बिकॉज ओनली अ सिंगल सेल इज प्रेजेंट, तो उसको सब कुछ करना है, राइट. चलिए, नाउ लेट्स मूव ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट स्लाइड. लेट्स सी द टेक्स्ट इज रिटन ओवर हियर. सेम थिंग इज मेंशन्ड. Single cell means only made up of one cell, does all the life functions, bacteria, yeast, amoeba. Few cell mates made of 100 to few thousand cells, Spirogyra, volvox. Multicellular may be made of millions and billions of cells, include most plants and animals including humans, and it has division of labor. ठीक है? Okay everybody. Now let's move on to the next criteria on the basis of size. But on the basis of size we can also distinguish cells. Most of the cells are very small, we can't even see them with the help of naked eyes. ठीक है? So we have the first category, that is smallest cells. For example, bacteria beta. Bacteria, they are very very tiny, you can't see them with the help of naked eyes. ठीक है? But bacteria की family में भी there is one bacteria that is the smallest. It is called as mycoplasma. It is called as mycoplasma, जो कि बैक्टीरिया में भी सबसे छोटा है. ठीक है? So I'm gonna write smallest, it is mycoplasma. Okay everyone. Then we have red blood cells in case of humans. Now in humans we have red blood cells which are the again very very small in size. ठीक है? It's approximately like 7 micrometer. ठीक है? So they are very very small. Yes, nerve cells beta, they are actually the, yes, you can say it's the longest in human bodies, right? Okay, on the basis of number beta we have single celled, unicellular, few celled and multicellular. Single cell में the entire body is made of one cell. Few cell mates made of about like hundreds or thousands of cells, and multicellular में there are many cells, million, billion, trillions, we can't even count. ठीक है? Okay. Yes, largest is actually the ostrich cell. We are going to cover. So when we talk about longest cell, beta, longest is in terms of the length. Longest में it's the meaning of length, है ना? लंबा कितना है? So it's the nerve cell. It can extend from finger till the spinal cord. Finger से लेके spinal cord जितना meters में लंबाई हो सकती है इनकी. ठीक है? Nerve cells के बारे में also we are going to see it in the nervous system वाला chapter in the class 10th. But now with the basic is nerve cells. ठीक है? Nerve cells, they have to conduct information. So for example, if you are watching me, you are eating something, you are making down notes, you are able to hear me. ये सब कैसे हो रहा है? How are you able to sense? Because of nerve cells. So आपकी आंखों के nerve cells brain तक जा रहे हैं, कानों के भी brain तक, कुछ आपने गरम टच कर लिया वो brain तक. So it is conducting information. ठीक है? Okay. Then we have largest in terms of the size, in terms of the width. We have bird's egg, especially ostrich egg beta. It is actually the largest sized cell. ठीक है? Okay everyone. Yes. But it depends upon which bacteria को अपन compare कर रहे हैं RBC से. ठीक है? For example, if we are comparing mycoplasma with RBC, definitely mycoplasma will be the smallest, right? But her bacteria has a different size. If you know that size of that bacteria, then we can compare with the RBC. But सारे bacteria don't have a fixed size ना, तो हम कैसे compare करें? Right? Yes. After the class, beta, you will get the notes as well. Right? सब तक it's actually the yolk of the egg cell, because what happens is ना, see. This is the shell, and inside the cell, inside the shell of the egg, we have yolk over here. So this yolk is the one that forms the new organism. ठीक है? So this yolk is actually the largest in terms of the cell. ठीक है? बेटा amoeboid पे we are going to come अभी. ठीक है? अच्छा. Now sometimes we think यार अगर कोई चीज बहुत छोटी है, it could be disadvantageous. It could not be a very nice thing that the size of the cell is very small. But let me tell you that having a small size is also very very beneficial. How is that possible, beta? Let's try to understand. ठीक है? For example, if you have a small classroom and your teacher is saying something, so everyone can hear. Now you are inside a big hall and the teacher is saying something. Not everyone who's sitting can hear, especially the ones at the back, they can't hear. The reason is, if the area is small, if the size of any particular thing is small, the information can be conducted easily. It can be conducted faster. So if the size of the cell is small, the information can be conducted inside the cell very easily. Na? If this is the size of a cell that is small, and if this is a very large size cell, see, if this is some information, this is some kind of information, beta, it can transport inside the cell very quickly. It can transport inside the cells very, very quickly from here to here, here to here, everywhere, beta, it can transport. But on the other hand, if this is the information in a big cell, it will take some time to transport. It will take time from coming from here to here. But over here, this can go quickly. This can go quickly. So if the size is small, information can be passed on quickly. Interaction can take place very quickly in the cell. So functions can also happen efficiently. Okay? Again, if the size is small, the surface area is very large. Okay? This has a higher surface area. Surface area is higher. Over here, greater surface area. Okay? And this has less surface area. So if surface area is beta over here small, then definitely intake of nutrients and exchange, elimination of waste can be very easy. So small size is also beta very, very important. Depends on the cell. If it is small size, it can also be beneficial. It can be also very effective. Yes, it is also called as PPLO. Yes. You will have the quiz beta right after this. Okay, we're going to solve some question. Okay. Which part do you want me to explain? Humans में बेटा, if I talk about males, the smallest one is the sperm, and if I talk about females, smallest one, the largest one is the ova, right? अच्छा, you are talking about in general longest, then it is neuron. ठीक है, the longest one is neuron, amja. Okay, right, very nice. ठीक है, which point, Divya? Which point do you want me to repeat? I hope everyone is clear with whatever we have studied so far. If you have any doubts, you can definitely ask. Acha, reason 2 beta. If there is more surface area, definitely the exchange could be faster. Agar surface area बहुत ज़्यादा है, then exchange could be faster. For example, if we have this particular area and if we have this particular area, where is the surface more? Over here the surface is more, na? So exchange can be easy. ठीक है, but over here surface is less, so exchange can be slow. ठीक है, right. Any other doubt? Clear? Great. चलिए, very nice, great everyone. चलिए, now let's move on to the shape of the cell. Beta, again, the shape of the cell can be very, very different. Like in case of humans, beta, we have different heights. We have all different heights. है ना? Likewise, in case of cells also, the shapes could be very different. For example, epithelial cells, you can see there are certain cuboidal, certain we have elongated. Then in case of human blood cells, every cell has a different shape. Okay? Then we have cartilage cells, again a different shape. Connective tissue, striated muscle cell, nerve cell, which is a very long cell. Okay? Then we have bone cells, smooth muscle cell, chlamydomonas, plant cell, guard cell, amoeba. But everyone has a different shape. Now, why is the shape changing? Why can't all the cells have the same shape? Why is there so much difference in the shape, beta? The reason is the shape of the cell is dependent on its function. Okay? So, can we write that the shape of cells depends on its function? Okay, everybody? Okay, so the shape of the cell is actually dependent on its function. Acha, first reason beta, फटाफट से I'll explain you first reason. The first reason says कि if the cell is small, the communication can be very, very easy. The communication can be very, very easy. If the size of the room is small, definitely whatever I am saying, you all can hear it. But if the size of the room is very, very large, it's very huge, the people who are sitting at the back won't be able to hear me clearly unless I use a mic. Okay? That is why we say that the smaller the area, the communication is better. Okay? Okay, but epithelial actually makes the surface or the boundary of anything. Right? Likewise, we have the skin. Na? This is also epithelial. Okay? चलिए. Now we have on the basis of surface beta, we can see there are certain different things. ठीक है, on the basis of the on the basis of shape also we have certain different things. For example, if we talk about RBCs, है ना, if we talk about RBCs beta, RBCs have a biconcave shape. See, let's try to draw this over here. The shape is not a regular round shape. The shape is somewhat like this. It's like this. ठीक है, that means दोनों साइड से it's very pressed. It's very चिपका हुआ. That is the shape of your RBCs. Now, why is it so, beta? The reason is RBCs have to travel inside the blood vessel. ठीक है, they travel inside the blood vessel. If this is the blood vessels, RBC have to travel inside. So the shape is biconcave so that the movement can be easier. Firstly, and secondly, whenever it is biconcave beta, the surface is more na, in comparison to the circle shaped cell, the surface is more over here, so gaseous exchange can take place. Oxygen can come in over here very easily. There's a lot of surface, there's a lot of area, but over here the surface is quite limited. So when the shape is biconcave, definitely beta, the surface is more, the exchange can be even better. ठीक है everybody, right everybody? चलिए, now that's the case of your red blood cells. They are round and biconcave, easily pass through the blood vessels and carry oxygen. ठीक है, because the size is compact, it is very biconcave. From the center, the exchange of nutrients can be easy. ठीक है, then we have white blood cells beta. White blood cells actually have the amoeboid shape. WBCs are actually the soldiers of your body, na? Because what do they do? They fight from the infections. So whenever you have fever, cough, cold, any other disease, your WBCs increase in number because they are the soldiers, so they get activated. इसलिए whenever you are sick, the doctor advises you to conduct a WBC test or a blood count test. The reason is, from the report they check the number of WBCs. If the number of WBCs is higher than usual, they can tell कि okay, कोई बीमारी है, तभी WBC बड़े होंगे उस बीमारी से लड़ने के लिए, right? Okay. WBC में the shape is irregular like amoeba. Why is this so? Let's try to understand beta. See, this is your blood vessels which are like one celled thick. ठीक है, अब what happens ना, if there is any bacteria in the body, a disease causing or a dangerous bacteria, it's a dangerous bacteria over here. ठीक है, so now this can cause any disease to your body. So what will the WBC do beta? WBC na, if this is a WBC beta, they can change their shape and they can squeeze out from the blood vessels and they can come out and they can eat this entire bacteria. So now the bacteria is dead. Now the bacteria is dead over here. It can't cause any infection. So they can change their shape in the form of amoeba and they can squeeze out from the blood vessel, come out and eat the bacteria. So that is why we say beta that they are actually what? They are amoeboid in shape. They can change their shape, come out of the blood vessel, can eat the bacteria. Yes, tomorrow beta I am going to, not tomorrow, but after this class I am going to take the classes on PW app in the Radiant batch for class 9. That's going to be purely in English. You also have the link for the batch. If you have not joined the batch yet, you can click on that link, join the batch, and I will teach you biology over there. बेटा with the amoeboid shape इसलिए ताकि वो बाहर आए blood vessel से and it can eat the bacteria. No beta, not oval shape. Oval would be this. This is not the shape of RBC. RBC is something like this, compressed from the center. ऐसा होता है, ठीक है? So it's not oval. It's not oval. चलिए, next we will go through nerve cell. बेटा nerve cell, they are very long as you can see. ठीक है, they are very long, है ना? They can even go for like 1 meter long from finger till the spinal cord because they have to conduct the information. They have to transport the information, so they have to be very elongated. ठीक है? Muscle cells, they are long and contractile. Long as you can see, and tapered होता है थोड़ा सा, ऐसा almond shape का लग रहा है ना? So why is this so बेटा? So that they can show contractile movement, because if I am able to walk because I am contracting my muscles. If I am putting some dumbbells, which I don't do because I am not a gym person at all, but let's say if I am doing some dumbbells, I am contracting my muscles. So this kind of shapes helps in the contraction of the muscles very easily, and this also helps in the movement. Okay? Then we have guard cells. Beta guard cells ka if I talk about na, these guard cells usually are present in plants. Let's write this. They are not present in humans. They are present in plants. ठीक है? All of these other cells, they are actually present in humans, which we are going to study. ठीक है? No worries. Now if I talk about guard cells, which are actually present in plants, beta, दे आर द गार्ड ऑफ एनीथिंग, ठीक है. गार्ड क्या होता है? दैट्स प्रेजेंट एट द ओपनिंग ऑफ एनी गेट. फॉर एग्जाम्पल मॉल में, क्रिकेट ग्राउंड में और एनी पब्लिक प्लेस देर आर गार्ड्स. सो गार्ड्स ओपन एंड क्लोज द डोर्स, है ना. तो व्हाट डू द गार्ड डू? दे रेगुलेट कि क्या चीज अंदर आ रही है, बाहर आ रही है. सो गार्ड सेल्स आर ऑल्सो किडनी शेप्ड सेल्स बेटा. नाउ दे आर दीज गार्ड सेल्स. दिस इज द गार्ड सेल एंड दिस इज द गार्ड सेल, ठीक है. नाउ दे ओपन एंड क्लोज एंड यहां से द गैसियस एक्सचेंज कैन टेक प्लेस. दिस इज स्टोमेटा, ठीक है. दिस इज स्टोमेटा and oxygen can move out from here, carbon dioxide can come in from here. Basically exchange of gases में they help, ठीक है. Yes beta, amoeba and bacteria usually are unicellular. Both of them are unicellular. Right, beta timing we will inform you on the community post and you will get to know when is the class, ठीक है. चलिए फटाफट से let's try to solve certain questions and we will wrap up the class because you also have other class ना. चलिए let's start the poll. If a cell loses its ability to divide, what will happen? Right. If a plant loses its ability, a cell loses the ability to divide, what will happen? नहीं बेटा, stomach is J-shaped. Quickly, let's see the answer to this particular question. Okay, 100% have answered B. Very nice beta. If a cell loses its ability to divide, it will grow faster? No. It cannot repair and replace the old cells. Very nice, है ना? Because if it will not divide, how will the old cells will be repaired? How will they be replaced? Very good everyone who's saying B. रिपेयर बेटा किसी चीज को ठीक करना, साइकिल खराब होती है रिपेयर कराते ना. इट विल बिकम मल्टीसेल्युलर? नो, नथिंग हैपेंस. नो. B is the correct answer. Moving forward to the next question. Why are cells different in shape? Everyone, next question that we have is, why are cells different in shape? Randomly, based on the function, based on the color, based on the size. We have discussed this point right now that cell ka shape depends on their dash. Beta, now we are done with the class. Only 1-2 more questions and then we will be done. ठीक है? ठीक है everybody? Okay. Why are cells different in shape? Randomly based on the function, based on color, based on size. Everybody, very nice, very nice. I can see one undisputed answer yet again. 97.56, almost 98% have answered B, which is correct. But why are some answering based on size? Nahi beta. Shape doesn't depend on size. Shape depends on the function. For example, biconcave shape, kidney shaped cells, long cells, tapered end cells, they depend on the function of that particular cell. Which of the following shows division of labor? Which of the following shows division of labor? Amoeba, bacteria, human body, paramecium. Okay, everybody. Right, yes, quickly. Okay, definitely. इसमें we will see the leaderboard. No worries. पक्का से we will see the leaderboard. ठीक है. Okay, very good. Great. ठीक है. 51.22% have answered C and some are also saying B. Beta, why? Division of labor. Where will you see division of labor? जहाँ पे there are many cells. If there is only one cell, how can you divide the function? If there is only one person to do the work, only that person will do the entire work. काम का बंटवारा नहीं होगा. So for division of labor, definitely it has to be a multicellular organisms. Siddharth, Amjad and Sluk Sharma have answered correctly. Very nice everyone. So correct answer is human body, multicellular में there is division of labor. Please write. It is in multicellular organisms that you see division of labor. ठीक है? चलिए. Okay, I think we are done. Next beta, one more thing I would like to tell you is that I will be teaching you biology in the Radiant batch. ठीक है? If you want to see me on your YouTube channel also, you can join PW Foundation English. Here I am going to teach you biology. ठीक है? So from now on my lectures will be over there. ठीक है? You can see my lectures. You will go to the video section, live section. You will find all of my videos. ठीक है? This is our basically channel for WhatsApp. So if you scan this QR code, you will join our WhatsApp channel where I'll be also there with all the other educators and we will provide you all the notes of the class, important updates, quizzes, important information, DPPs, whatever is required for you to excel in the exams. ठीक है? Next up we have a thank you slide. Okay, I think this was enough for the first class. I didn't keep it very heavy because this was the first class, so I wanted to just keep it easy for all of you. Now I would like to bid you guys bye bye. I will see you in the next one in the batches on our YouTube channel. Please make sure to join. Thank you so much for joining in. You all gave me a really good time, and thank you so much, Amjad. Thank you so very much, everyone. It means a lot to me, and I will see you very, very soon next time. Bye bye. Take care. Have a nice time. Good night.